Today we're going to look at rotating shapes. So there are three different ways that we can rotate a shape. We have 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and 270. Within the 90 and the 270, we can rotate them clockwise or counterclockwise. So on a clock, the way that our hands move, it goes to the right, that is clockwise. Counterclockwise is going the opposite direction. So we have a rule for rotations. We flip the x and y values, but the x's will change in values. So their signs will change. So for my shape, we have it's at 2, 1, B is at 3, 5, C is at 5, 5, and then D is at 6, 2. So we are going to, for my new image, to rotate 90 degrees clockwise. So when we move 90 degrees clockwise, we're moving it over one quadrant for 90 degrees. So we're going to go into the quadrant that is right below. This is quadrant 4. So we have to switch the points and then change the x to be negative. So 2, 1 is going to be 1, negative 2. We have 5, negative 3, 5, negative 5, 2, negative 6. So when I graph my image, we can see where the image has rotated to. And so when we do a rotation, it's the same size and same shape, just rotated into a different location. So let's look at 180 degrees. So 180 degrees is being rotated over two quadrants. So we're going to end up in quadrant 3. So the rule is change the signs for your x and your y. Leave them in the same position, just change the sign. So we have the same points as below. And then for this, all we're going to do is change the sign. So if it's positive, it'll turn negative. If the numbers are negative, it will turn positive. So 2, 1 is going to go to negative 2, negative 1, negative 3, negative 5, negative 5, negative 5, negative 6, negative 2. So we can see what it looks like for this one. So here is our rotation of 180 degrees. So we went over two quadrants this time. So these, anytime it's 180, these will be right across from each other. They'll be in opposite quadrants when it's 180 degrees. And all we did was take the original point and change the sign. For our last one is 270 degrees clockwise. So this is moving 3 quadrants over. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to end up in quadrant 2 for our rotation. So our rule says switch x and y again, but this time the y is changing. So down below with a 90 degrees clockwise, we switched x and y, but the x was negative. With 270, the y is negative, but the x is positive. So we look at our points. So we have the same points as we had for the last two problems. And then we're going to change them. We're going to flip them and then change the y to the opposite sign. So 2, 1 will become negative 1, 2. So the y value, which is 1, will turn opposite, which is going to be negative. Then I have negative 5, 3, negative 5, 5, negative 2, 6. And so if you look at the quadrant we're moving to, you can see that the x values are negative, y values are positive. So let's graph it and see what it looks like for our rotation. So here is our rotated shape. So we went over 3 quadrants. For your counterclockwise, that's going back to the left. And so again, we end up in the original corner that we started with when we did a 270 clockwise.